Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Chrissie Mayr podcast. We are on iTunes, YouTube, Spotify, and SoundCloud. And if you're listening to us on iTunes right now, go ahead and give us a 5-star review. Doing a bunch of stand-up dates leading up to my first album recording on January 6th. So December is packed with dates. December 11th, I'll be with Comedians of the Compound in Jersey. That's Tiff's Ale House, also known as the Dojo of Comedy in Morris Plains. And then the 12th, I'll be headlining the Hartford Funny Bone in Hartford, Connecticut. 13th, I'll be at the Looney Bin in Little Rock, Arkansas. And then the 15th and 16th, I'll be back to Texas with Anthony Cumia and Aaron Berg doing Hyenas in Dallas. Bunch more dates coming out. If you want tickets, go to chrissymayer.com, or you can search any of the comedy club websites that I mentioned. And of course, if you want me to come to your town and you love a certain comedy venue, tweet at them, tweet at me. That, those guys see that stuff and it matters. You're not just tweeting into a black hole, although it feels that way sometimes. Quick shout out to our sponsor, Cushy Dreams. Join the men and women who are sick of vapes and gummies and want to smoke their CBD. Cushy Dreams specialize in high quality bud in tins and pre-rolls. I really like the pre-rolls. They come in a handy dandy 5-pack, very portable, very put in your purseable pocket. Smells great. Woo! But it's not going to get you high. You can enjoy all the health benefits of CBD without getting high. And they have different indica sativa blends like Hustle, Create, Relax, Dream, Peace, Energy. So whatever you're feeling for the day, Cushy Dreams has you covered. Go to cushydreams.com right now and use promo code CMP at checkout to get 20% off plus free shipping. Got to do it. Yeah. Also, I'm very excited to announce that I have a hot sauce flavor. This is crazy. Doing a partnership with Silk City Hot Sauce. This has been in the works for a couple months now, but my hot sauce flavor is called Nightmare. I love a pun. Apparently, I inspired this mayhem of flavor. It's smooth and sweet with a burst of fire, jalapenos, pear, sweet pepper, sweet apple cider, and a super hot habanero. This is the verde sauce that will awaken your soul. Look at that art. Nightmare, The Great Awakening, a little satanic. It's fun. I haven't tasted it yet, but I have a bottle on the way. So I'm going to let you guys know. Looks fun. All right. Enough with that. I'm so excited to have this guy on the podcast. Oof. I've been a fan. I've been following and loving this guy for months now. He is the founder of Black Guns Matter. You've seen him on Fox News Primetime, all over. You've seen this guy everywhere. Maj Toure, great to have you here.
What's up? How are you?
I'm doing great. These are interesting times that we're living in. I feel like my position on guns and gun ownership has changed so much just in the last couple of years. I don't know if you had a similar journey, but like I right out of college, whatever, I was, raised typical kind of lefty, feminist, all that, right? Like from New York, I'm afraid of guns. I don't want to touch one. And I feel like a lot of people from the Northeast are that way. Whereas if you're from more like the South, the Midwest, you grow up around guns, you're more comfortable with them. So it took me a while for me to appreciate the Second Amendment. And now it's very interesting because gun control support is really dropping, even though crime is up and firearm purchases are up. And can you explain why it seems like there are some conflicting trends going on, and maybe what's led up to this?
Um, the current, well, for one, our work at Black Guns Matter. This is kind of what when we came into this, when we created this organization, we knew that gun control. When back up a bit
Yeah.
in northeastern places like Philadelphia, like New York, there's a concentrated effort to make that demographic of any background feel like you know, not guns not around is like safer. You know what I'm saying? If you have firearms around, here's one here.
Wow, that's a cool one.
Here's another. So these are holstered, but
Mm.
these are all clear. We got small guns. We got HKVP9s. We got pretty much everything, right? There's a bunch of guns right here. There's a gun over there, and there's a bunch of rifles over there. They tell us this thing that especially in those, like you said, northeastern cities or states. They'll say like guns are bad, as if this firearm is gonna, magically just get up and turn something like it's, the tesseract. If it's an evil person has it, and it's gonna turn everybody else evil. So that conditioning is there, and knowing that, when you also look into the history of gun control, literally in America starting to stop, melanated beings from having the means to defend themselves. And when you start looking at all of the major gun control around the country, I'm talking about, whether it's the 60s with the Panthers to, the Gun Control Act in the 20s with the Italians. Oh, these mobsters, these immigrant Italians are so horrible, blah, blah, blah. It's always a push for gun control after some sort of racism. The original one being, we don't want black people of any type, and at that time, indigenous people were classified as negro as well. We don't want them to have the means to defend themselves. And so when you understand that and you start pushing back, we had a goal at Black Guns Matter of that's the demographic that we're going to make sure that we're informing. You go to where the information is needed the most. So when we did that, we legit had a plan of, we're going to make this demographic become the newest and largest gun buying demographic in America. As of March of 2019, we did that with under a $500,000 and some time and some elbow grease and all of the classes being free. So you so that's one to your question, going back a bit. The question is, what do I think is driving that? A big part of that is the work that we're doing. When you start telling people in a way that they're going to receive it or more apt to receive what you're saying, hey man, the government actually hasn't been here to help you. And they start to see that from a person that's from the cloth, that's in the city that they're in, that he's not trying to trick me because he's giving these classes away for free. You get some traction. Then on top of that, after years of that, because Black Guns Matter has been around for at this point 5 years now, then you start saying stuff, in a manner that people can respond to, and then the government starts doing exactly what you said. So if I said, when I told my friends 2 years ago, I'm like, yo, bro, y'all do know that, Trump's not going to get reelected. And they were like, there's
You
no way.
saw it
Like,
coming. You knew.
absolutely.
How?
I look like a complete like fool. My friends are like, get against this retarded dude.
This
There's no
senile
way.
guy? Come on.
Right.
Yeah.
And so he winds up winning. I said, yo, they really, I told people years ago, we said, after we get a bunch of black people to buy firearms, which we have in record numbers, and start to train and start to, take their personal protection very serious, the reason why Biden's going to be in is for the same reason he was the vice president. We need a push to push more ways to control that demographic and lock them up for firearms. And right after that, you see him pushing one of the most draconian uh, attempts at more and more gun control and or gun confiscation, unconstitutional, based in race, all of those different things. So then, if that's not enough, then you see uh, an amazing amount of overreach in the form of COVID for your protection type
Ugh.
of.
Mm-hmm.
And so even my friends that are still leftist, and I try my best not to separate people. These terms are just things that people can understand what type of ideology we're speaking to. But we all human, we all American for the most part, or we American or human or whatever your background is. But when someone that my friends that identify on the left, they still kind of calling me like, yo, bro, my bad. Like I didn't know. And I'm like, yeah, it's cool. The state is the problem. And the state is showing everyone exactly why they're the problem. When you have weak leadership that is willing to, I saw something today that said, so people that have paid into Social Security are going to be getting about maybe $1,400 a month. And people that have been unlawfully and then naturalized into America, that got in here unlawfully. And again, I'm a libertarian, so I understand the right of people to move about freely, but
Right.
it's just an interesting thing, um, that those folks would be getting like 2,600 or some shit like that.
Whoo! Is that from the figure of the 250, or what was it, 450,000 or something
No,
that was
that's
heard a
yeah,
while back?
that's a different one. That's the people that once they come in, if they were separated, we're gonna break them off
Okay.
for a check for damn near $500,000. So the state is showing you how horrible, especially under horrible leadership. And that happens in, if you don't have a leader that's a strong negotiator and that is a strong uh, doesn't command respect. We've seen it at the gas pump, and I know some people don't see how, OPEC or oil producing nations, if they don't respect the gangster or the negotiation skill of the so-called commander in chief, they're gonna the gas prices is gonna be up, and people are seeing that now. So
Really? Really? So does that explain why they were down so much with Trump? Like, was he
yes,
more of a
because
gangster president? I never even thought of it in those terms.
absolutely, when somebody knows that your negotiation skills, or saying like "fuck you," we'll put more tariffs on
Just
your
not a pussy,
product.
basically, yeah.
Right. And so they go like, look, and there's leverage there. Yo, you keep our crude prices at this much per gallon, we'll hook you up with this. But if you have somebody that's more interested in being your friend, more so than like, I'm here, politics by definition is to secure, maintain, and expand on your and your community's interests. And if you're the leader of America, your interest should be getting that cheap price for your folks, and you got to negotiate everything on the table to make that happen. But if we don't have a respect for your leadership, and they shouldn't have respect for this leadership, he's not a good leader. They're going to take advantage. It's geopolitics in the streets are very similar. It's just bigger guns, more shooters, and more zeros behind whatever the digit is in the number column. So all of these things are culminating, and the reason why people are not even just buying more firearms and training, but you're looking into more. I read something else that said that Black Americans now lead in homeschooling in America, because they see,
Wow,
like,
that's
yo, this,
awesome.
this public school shit is like not cool.
Mhm.
So you're gonna see that more self-sufficient. I can't rely on this government, regardless of who's in the office. You're gonna see more people with homesteading and just kind of community starting to build again. Hey, such and such owns a I don't know, his family runs a exterminating service and they're local. Let's get our
Yeah,
pesticides.
and
We do that. Let's get from
we
him.
have chickens, we'll run down some eggs, and, like, that's really cool. I think that's one of the most important trends to come out of the last year is, like, this self-sufficiency, like, so many people haven't even thought of if they could or should farm, right, th their Second Amendment rights, right, it's just realizing the government is not here to help or save us, and the more they convince you that they are here to be your daddy, it's like it's a trick, it's to take your power away as a person, as an earner, as a potential business owner, um, everything, your own protection, your kids, the care of your own kids, and the
If they
education.
wanted, if they wanted to maintain a better form of control, they should have had someone like Obama back in the seat. Obama was very charismatic. I think he was he's one of my favorite presidents for a different set of reasons, because I like smooth criminals. I like
He was
smooth.
very smooth.
Yeah, dude was cool, man. And again, I love the symbolism of what that meant to people from my community. You know what I'm saying? It's like, damn, maybe some of that racism is, and I believe some we've made great strides in certain areas. So on that tip, I gotta commend that symbolically. But he was able to get a lot of bullshit off, and I think that when you can lull somebody to sleep, as opposed to guys like this current administration, every level of it, from Saki and how she communicates
Ugh, it's
to
clunky, everything is
it's,
messy.
it's just bad. And so, which in turn is actually, in a weird way, good for the people, because they recognize more and more some of the thought leaders that have been saying, hey, the government's not your friend. Hey, do for self. These things come out of that. They call it like the Streisand effect, where
Hmm.
the government tries to get you to do a thing and you wind up actually doing the exact opposite. So these are going to be very trying, but rewarding times, because I think a lot of Americans are going to get back to, yo, can we do this ourselves? And no thank you to big daddy government, so called.
That's great. I love what you're doing. You're offering free classes to help kind of take away sort of like some of the scariness around firearms, because it's right. It's just like the more you're around them and the more practicing you get, the more comfortable you are. And you're starting up a solutionary center
Yeah.
in Philly, which is where you're from. I don't know if you still live there.
Yeah,
now?
I do. I do. I was reflecting on I'm gonna get a farm here in Florida pretty soon, probably. Because I want to grow food, and I've been taking paramedic classes
Cool.
and like mechanic classes and just little things. But yes, Philadelphia is my home. I've been reflecting on it more so today because another hip hop artist from Memphis was murdered today, Young Dolph.
Just read that.
Yeah, and I'm just like, man, a lot of people that do good in the community, they tend to get murdered in their own community. So, just little things. But yeah, I'm still in Philly. The Solutionary Center will be open in a few weeks. All of the classes will be free. We still going to operate off of voluntary, crowdfunding. Um, just little things that I think are very important for people to see. It's a collective effort that you can individually choose to be a part of. All of our classes, all of our funding has been completely um,
Yeah, just
voluntary.
like and crowdsourced. That's amazing. I'm gonna pull up here the GoFundMe, which is very cool. You are putting together a tour,
Yeah,
a Black Guns Matter tour to
yeah,
educate gun owners. You're going to fundraise, a 50-state tour to continue informing urban communities, especially youth, about safe and legal firearms knowledge, conflict resolution, and the Second Amendment.
yeah.
And you're halfway to your $1 million goal. This is very
So
exciting.
the funny thing about that is it started as a $25,000 goal
No way.
in 13 cities. And we did that. And I want to be clear because you have to say it sometimes nowadays. We already gave that $473,000 away. We fundraise as we create classes. So that is about, I want to say that's over. Initially, it started as a $25,000 goal and we were going to do 13 cities. We did those 13 cities and people was like, yo, man, you got to keep going. And then we would hit these milestones until we were just like, yo, do y'all think we should just raise it to 1 million? And we would, every time we went up, we would ask social media and they would be like, absolutely, keep going. And so that's why it's at that number. But I got to be clear because I think it's very important. People put, me or our work in a position of you kind of got to like be a shepherd and you got to let people know that's new. Like, yo, that ain't just $473,000 that I'm like saving up for like a Bentley.
Right. You're not like waiting to get the money and then starting. You've been
Right.
doing it the whole time.
Yeah. So as soon as we get, we do, you know, raise $10,000, do 4 or 5 cities, and just keep going. So yeah, it's been wonderful showing people that you can individually make a choice to add to the collective. So that way, how people try to trick you, well, oh, the greater good. Yeah, but it's a bunch of individuals choosing voluntarily to add to the greater good while we are still strengthening individuals in their individual constitutionally upheld rights.
I assume you've been following the Rittenhouse trial. It's a big. I mean, it's
Yeah,
everyone's sort of watching it, but I think especially if you're a Second Amendment person, you're following it pretty closely.
yeah.
Do you? I've seen some people kind of make it about race and, oh, if Kyle had been a different race, things would have been differently. Do you think that's a mistake to make that comparison? Do you feel like that's a distraction? I mean, it's naturally something that's going to come up anyway. It's every scenario. People, whether it's somebody like black or white, they're going to be like, well, what if it was the other way around? Yeah, exactly. Do you feel
No,
like that's
I don't think it's a distraction. I think it speaks to a harsh reality that the Second Amendment has not been equally applied across the board. And that's just a reality. When you made gun control, it literally was in direct opposition to the concept of the Bill of Rights, the second one of those Bill of Rights being the right of the people to keep and bear arms, was a list of things that government cannot give you or take away. Then right after that, you say, oh, but accept the black folk. You know what I'm saying? North Carolina state constitution, they literally amended their constitution to say all able-bodied men can keep and bear arms. I'm gonna paraphrase a little bit. And then it was like all able-bodied white men. And so I don't think it's a distraction. It makes us look at our horrible reality of how gun control came about, who is disproportionately negatively impacted by gun control, black folks. And it also hamstrings us a bit to not look at some of the progress that has been made. Because I'm not one of them
Mhm.
people that's like, is all doom and gloom. It's not all doom and gloom. Some of it is gloomy as fuck, but some of it is bright as hell. You know what I mean? And so I think it gives it that. And more specifically, going back into Kyle, anyone with half a brain, because there's video of the whole thing. That young man handled himself under duress. One person tries to smack him with a skateboard, which is that's an attempt on life. Another person has a Glock that's about to shoot him. He kills those people. Then somebody runs up to him and stops. He doesn't shoot that person. He after mind you, this is after running away from 3 times from these
Yeah.
people, getting chased. Then he goes to turn himself into the police like this, and the police just let him go. So and then there's this conversation about, oh, it's white supremacy. Dude, the people he killed that were trying to kill him were white. So I don't really know. I could kind of give that a little bit more space if let's say if everybody that he killed was black. I could go,
Of course. I think that's what I meant by I was like, is this a little bit of a distraction? Because it's like everyone he killed was white. Yes, it is very important to look at the history of gun control, especially considering like, yeah, the gun control was brought about to keep firearms from black people, which is ridiculous. Like I,
it's
I don't think
insane when you
I
think
don't think I quite put that together. Like I knew it was the Democrats.
about it.
But that makes a lot of sense.
There's literally an attempt to rework the reason why Kyle Rittenhouse is being presented as the white supremacist, or gun ownership is white supremacist, because they're not really coming for Kyle Rittenhouse. He just happened to be the person. They're coming for a person that wants to have the means to defend themselves while defending their community. Now, white folks could fall back and act like that's not the case if they want to. I don't think any white gun owner is right now, very few. But black people can't get caught up in that goofy shit either, because when they enact more of the, yeah, Kyle Rittenhouse was type guilty, so now we're going to get rid of stand your ground laws. Stand your ground laws, black people in America benefit from utilizing stand your ground in self defense than any other ethnic group. So we got to be very careful here. This ain't about Kyle Rittenhouse. This is about, we don't want you to have the means to defend your community with a practical and very easily used tool. And we want to demonize that. And I'm telling my black friends, like, bro, this ain't got shit to do with you. This like never mind the fact, pause, go back a bit. Never mind the fact that the person, one of the people that he shot, was like a convicted child rapist.
Oh gosh, that is a whole other separate. Yeah, that's
So to me, the kid's legend just keeps growing. And so this ain't about Kyle Rittenhouse. This is about the average American citizen. It's ironic that he's 17, because there was 17-year-olds that literally, the militia was originally defined as any able-bodied man 17 or above.
oh wow.
You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
So nah, the distraction is um, to make the average citizen feel as if standing up for your community is somehow going to, it's a scare tactic. They're utilizing him as, if we can get everybody to demonize this kid, and people say things like, oh, well, he shouldn't have been there. So then I'll go, okay, well, everybody knows, man. Everybody knows when I go to Chicago, I don't have a license to carry. I have a FOID card. I don't have a license to carry in Chicago. I take a gun. I say it. I tweet it. I don't. That's it. I have a Second Amendment and human right to have a firearm, regardless of where I go. So if I'm in Chicago doing, or New Orleans or St. Louis, doing a firearms class, and I get into a situation where I have to defend life and protect life with a firearm, are people going to say, well, Maj shouldn't have been there? That's one. Then the other thing is, what about the fucking rioters that were there with guns? When is the conversation about them? They shouldn't have been there. So we see what the media does, and most effective devil in America, that's what media is, MEDIA. So it's like, we just got to step back for a second and evaluate what's actually at stake here. They're trying to use this youngin to create a space to demonize all firearms owners. And if you want to have a firearm, I'm now technically I'm the white supremacist in that regard. And that's the thing that I know that when we have legitimate conversations. I know people individually aren't that stupid, but they'll try. Media will try to convince you that you are.
And I think that's what the media has been doing now to slowly either try to strip away our rights or convince us that we need to like let go of our own rights by either by throwing a white supremacist label on it, or throwing a you can't have medical freedom because it's for the greater good, you can't have your second amendment rights because of some sort of a race issue, or right, the greater good again.
Right.
So it's good to be wise to the media's tricks, or the government's tricks. Like, you start listening, you start hearing these things, you're like, oh, they're trying to trick us into just giving away our own power. And I was listening to this NPR clip. Ugh, for some reason, these women were talking about, well, if there were no guns there at all, this wouldn't have happened, and it's like, I just don't believe that argument. These women were saying, oh, someone would have had a black eye, maybe someone would have gotten hit, that would have been it. It's like, no, you see footage of people with dumpsters on fire. This one kid was attacking, Kyle with a skateboard. And there's also the matter of, like, people are always going to have guns on them, I think.
Here's
So
here's when they say things like that, right? I ask to those people, okay, so when they say, well, if there were just no guns, okay, let's go with that. There's no guns. How do you anticipate doing that? Do you gonna have the police to go take guns? So you want people to be there to be violent to people that disagree? Because that's what police officers are. They're foot soldiers for the state. So you would advocate that there's one class of people with firearms to go potentially extend the continuum of force to murder people that don't want to give their firearms up. And when those people that have firearms that aren't law enforcement shoot law enforcement for trying to take their private property, then you're going to demonize that person. Or, okay, cool, I'll give up all of my guns when you can convince the police to give up all of theirs first. Because if it's about the gun, and if
right.
no one could have them, then if you can get the police to agree with that, then I'll walk out on that olive branch with you. And then when you ask them that question, they don't really have an answer.
Because civilians can have as much as or more firearm training than cops. Civilians can get nervous, trigger happy, as just like cops do. Civilians are just as fallible and as emotional as cops can get in the heat of the moment. So there's not as good of an argument there.
The people that are saying those statements, usually we fail because we fail to challenge them logically, because we hear how foolish and absurd they sound. So we don't go, okay, cool. We don't engage with them in a way. There's 3 steps to the solutionary lifestyle. The first is empathy. I have empathy for dumb motherfuckers. I have tremendous empathy for them because, they really kind of like somehow believe and have been conditioned to believe that, like, just tell the robber. Like, I used to rob drug dealers. That was my job.
Wow.
I, you know what I'm saying? Like, my
Mhm.
thought is like, I could only imagine if one of the dudes was like, yo, it's illegal to rob me. I think I might have just like been like, you know what?
You know
Let
what?
me, I'm sorry, brother. I am breaking the law. Like, so I have empathy for their foolishness. And because I have empathy for the foolishness, it also gives me empathy for they have the potential to learn and grow. I was not always liberty minded. I was not always doing the right thing. I was not always. So there's a redeeming quality that every human being has on whatever level. So that empathy is why I'm able to ask them the questions based on where they go. I know that you're wrong. I know that you're wrong. It's like talking to a child. And I'm not saying that to be disrespectful to them. I'm saying that in the sense of when I'm speaking to my 5-year-old,
You
that
don't lose
really
your cool. Yeah.
there's no you're 5. You don't make any money. You don't do anything. You're not gonna do anything for like the next 15 to 20 years. You're not gonna really like you'll have ideas, and my job is to nurture those ideas and show you the error in your ways, or show you how to refine those thought processes. And so we failed to approach them as Americans, as humans. So we don't engage in a very civil discourse. Now, sometimes when we do, they get frustrated, and that's fine. You're allowed to be frustrated. I'm allowed to still respect you as a human, as an American. And I don't think that they really are in the back of their mind like, yeah, we want death. I think that they have an understanding that they really think that these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 guns right here are somehow going to make people evil. And they're not. But because we understand that our job as the adults in the room is to really respectfully and empathy to the best of our ability to have that conversation with them by just asking them to express themselves. You know what I mean? And then when they get stuttered, you can even jump in and argue their point. Okay, cool. Well, if police gave their guns away, do you think legitimate bad guys would say, I'm going to give my guns away too? And then let them walk down that rabbit hole without attacking them. You know what I mean? And then when they start to see the error in their positions, whether they admit it to you not or not at that moment, later on they go reflect on it and they go, damn, that it might be a year from now, but they'll go
Yeah.
like, yeah, that was some stupid shit that I was on. Just like you said, at a certain point, you was raised lefty, me too. And then you reflect. It's like you dated as a woman, you date a guy 15 years ago, 10 years, however long ago, and you're like, what the
Yeah.
fuck was I thinking? Same concept. So we just got to be more of the adults in the room.
Are you actually a dad?
Mm-hmm.
How how has being a dad helped you grow on all this stuff? I mean, you were into it before. I imagine it's maybe even more so as being a dad. You're like, I need to protect this next generation.
Yeah, and I need to give her the tools to protect herself. My munchkin is 5 years old. I have full custody of my daughter. I have a great relationship with my baby girl. Um, and her mother, right? This is my daughter's gun.
Oh my god. Hold the phone. That is the cutest thing I've ever seen.
That's my daughter's gun. That's what she trains with. That's it. Like
Mhm.
it's like a M&P chambered in 380, right? Uh,
How old was she the first time she picked
oh,
up a
she's
gun?
been two.
2.
Yeah, it was a cert pistol. I mean, she had. I have a video. I'll send it to you of her. She's got. It's
Oh
around here
my god,
somewhere.
that's so
She's
cute.
got gas masks and like cert pistols and all of this other stuff. I mean, I think it's important to if she gravitates towards it, we share it. But one thing that I don't do is I don't make her be a part of it because it's like you got to do this. Like, nah, man, tell her stuff. Just they're little humans.
It's like you teach a kid to ride a bike, and then if they really get into like dirt biking or racing, okay, then you pursue it. But like you're
Right.
teaching her the basics.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
I'm not gonna be like fucking dirt bikes, like
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying. But it's shown me like last year or 2019 or 2020. I'm not exactly sure which year it was, but there was like over 300,000 or 400,000 women that went missing in America. Like
Yeah, that's something they never talk about for sure. Is like
that's weird as hell.
missing people, missing kids in general. That just
Like
gets swept under the rug.
just so we not, so things like that. Even in our classes, we love highlighting some of the women that are, we had the Solutionary Summit in September down in Miami. Lou Tactical, Tactical Tangerine. These are women firearms instructors, and it's like, yo, and I recommend women that want to feel a little bit more comfortable. Yo, go train with women. And I'm not saying that like let the women be with the women folk. I'm saying it in the sense of like, yo, sometimes people, have trauma or shit and
Mm,
fuck
okay.
dudes like,
Yeah.
yo, like we're creeps, bro. Like a lot of you know what I'm saying? We'll just really like look at your ass or like, and I'm not saying it like every firearms instructor, but it's like, guys will a girl may see a guy checking her out. It's human nature, but you remove some of that when initially, especially in the beginning.
If you
Uh,
don't I mean, some of us like that.
right.
Some people on this very podcast might like that. But yes, if it is an issue for you, if you have like a little bit of like man trauma, then
Yeah.
totally. Yeah.
Until you find, whatever instructor of whatever, gender that you choose to like yo, I'm gonna rock out with this person. But just having children, you think more about where are my guns at in the house. When it's just you and you got like a safe, it's like cool. I know it's me and my crib is locked up, but when there's other young people around, you think about you're more conscious and cognizant of it, as you should be. So that's one of the things that I really push. But I just let her, she sees me doing stuff and she's like, well, let me try that, and it's like, all right, cool, come on. We were at dinner a few weeks ago, I'm very I talked. Me and her mom never did like the baby talk. Fuck that shit.
You're like, you're a person. I'm going to talk to you like a person. Yeah,
Yep.
that's good.
From like one. And so we were talking, and I was like, she asked for something. I was like, did you sell anything today? Did you practice in the free enterprise to get this extra thing that you want? And
Mhm.
she's like, my mom has my unicorn piggy bank. And I'm like, where did your mom get the money from? And she's like, she just finds it around and she puts it in my pig. I'm like, so your mom is redistributing wealth? I was like, you guys at your house sound like fucking socialists. You know what I'm saying? And so, like, we'll joke, but she'll have that understanding about cooperative economics when voluntarily, if she chooses to, she'll have the conversation about, I individually am choosing to be a part of this collective because I think it's cool. If she wants to grow up and be in a fucking commune and be with a bunch of people that have socialist principles and they doing their thing, cool. That's a part of freedom too. As long as you're not taking my shit without my consent.
And also if
So
you're willingly going into it instead of just like you're coming from a place of like being informed and consciously choosing it rather than like, oh, I'm brainwashed. This is what I grew up and I
right,
was pressured into this lifestyle
right,
or whatever.
right. And that's really what gun ownership shows me in so many ways outside of just guns, when it comes to children. Like, yo, maybe she don't like Glocks. Maybe she like that bullshit ass 380. I don't know why. Well, she won't like it in a little while because that bullshit ass 380 is small and she's 5, so her hands are little. And then evolution and growing, so many lessons. So that's how I apply it in regards to gun ownership.
What is the best gun for like I mean most people are not handing their 2-year-olds guns, but I think it's probably what more normal around like 5, 10. Like what is the best gun if you're a parent listening to this and you're like, yeah, you know what? I will get my 5-year-old, 10, 15-year-olds. Do you recommend a particular type?
No, because each person is different. And so first is you have to understand the temperament of each child. Like I say this all the time. Let's say if you got 3 children and you're like, yo, those two are cool. That one is a fucking madman. Do not give that third child a firearm at all. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? Don't introduce them to it. So it's just temperament first. And then hand size, um, hand, some hands are skinny fingers, chunky fingers. It's like shoes. If you got a flat foot, you can't wear a shoe designed for a high arch. And just let them pick it out. And then let it's more about them going through the process and enjoying shooting for fun and plinking and things like that. But no, it's a lot of it's very um at that age is really kind of like getting them understanding the basics of safety. And then I would initially give them like when they start picking up like Nerf guns and stuff like that, give them rules along with those Nerf guns, because so they can't hurt anyone or themselves. And then get them on the basics with those small little plastic toy guns. Have them and their friends that are shooting at each other. Have them, we're playing a game and we're competing, but you hit this target and they hit that target. Whoever gets the bullseye first wins. Make them understand that we aren't pointing firearms at anything we're not willing to destroy. You know what I'm saying? And utilize those moments with the toy guns, then work them into, like next level training cert pistols, which have the lasers on them and things like that. But it's those things. The goal here is to initially inculcate them in a very firearms, and a warrior lifestyle is a very spiritual thing, man. You are training a young person's mind to understand the responsibility of defending life. So in essence, you want to give them all of the information that they have from the very beginning, because you have to counter what television is going to say. Television is like, we showing, "Ah, we're shooting each other with the water guns," and it's
It's
like, "Nah,
willy-nilly, yeah, no
the Wild
video
West."
games, I don't know, I sound like an old person, I'm like, "Video
No, but
games," but
it's legit, and so it's like we gotta counter that with good information, so and then when they start seeing you, "Hey, I'm going to the range," and to take pictures and, all of that other good stuff, they'll demystify it, so they won't be like, "Oh, they see a gun around and they wanna go grab it and shoot it." Then you get them on the proper culture of it to protect them against what mainstream media is already going to try to like inception into their mind. So and then as they get older, they'll tell you, "Hey, I want to shoot the CZ. Hey, I want to shoot the SIG P320. Hey, I want to shoot the Canic TP9." It'll be like cars or baseball cards or video games, and they'll tell you kind of where what direction that they're going.
okay, great. I have a question from Young Pei Chang. Thank you for the super chat. Hey Maj, I saw you when you came through Arizona a few years back. I appreciate you and Kevin Dixie and Reverend Ken posting about Baraka when he passed on, especially when others were being ugly about it. Miss his podcast.
Hmm.
I guess that was more of a comment than a question.
Baraka was my guy, man. Um, Baraka was somebody that I would chop it up with. At my very first NRA annual meetings, we chopped it up. He gave me this big old bear hug. Good dude, man. And the biggest lesson that I pulled from that was one, a reminder of how it's a lot of fuck shit than people's opinions on the internet.
Hmm.
And on top of that, just reach out to your homies, man. Just make sure you send everybody a little extra love, especially your friends that are strong
Hmm.
and your friends that are really funny. You're,
Oh boy, I know that. That's as
you're really funny.
comedians. Yep.
Yeah. Y'all guys, because comedians see the world, especially my dark humor guys, they see the world through a really fucking dark and funny ass lens. And so, but they add a lot of that to their life. You know what I'm saying? And that pain creates some of the greatest comedy, whatever. And they understand pain so much that they almost kind of like want everybody else to laugh. You know what I'm saying? So that was one of the big lessons for me with our good friend Baraka. Uh,
That's
you
great
know,
advice. Yeah.
yeah, man. Check on your homies, especially your strong homies.
Question from Matthew Hammond. Should two-way supporters be pushing for universal gun ownership where people can get access to a pew pew regardless of the ability to afford one?
No, it is a personal and individual choice. When I hear the phrase universal,
Anything.
that's like a buzzword, like universal basic income, which is like I get it. Now, don't get me wrong. The liberal section of me, and when I say liberal, I mean like loving and what they categorize as empathetic and
What it
all of that.
used to mean. Yeah.
What it like the definition, like not the new definition, right? Um, I want everyone to have basics, right? That's why we gave away damn near $500,000 for everybody to get the basics on firearms ownership if they want it. But get access to a pew pew, you already do. Like okay, so for example, right? This bottle here, this is 127 proof. This is Booker's bourbon, right? That bottle of liquor cost me 100 and some odd dollars.
Is it good? Is it worth it?
It's amazing. Um, if I couldn't afford a firearm, I shouldn't be purchasing that liquor.
True.
Those like $4, $5 cups of coffee. Redirect. You can afford a firearm. High points are like $100. You know what I'm saying? I'm not saying you're gonna get, I don't know, my staccato, which is like $3,000. It may not be that, but it's where you allocating your own money and having certain levels of discipline. I truly believe that if as Americans, we kind of like be on some like wasteful shit and
Very
non-discipline.
much. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
And the media supports it. Like they want you to piss your money away out of distraction and wanting to keep up and be flashy instead of like, no, sit and focus, put the phone down. What are
Right,
your values? And is your money going into your values, your
right,
hopes, your dreams for the future?
right. So when we start opening that door for well, you guys were okay with universal such and such for guns. You should be open for universal. They'll start using words like, well, we should do universal background checks, even though we have background checks for every lawful firearm purchase in America. When you go into a gun show, when you go into a gun shop, so forth and so on. I still also believe that people should be able to private sell. Yo, if you do the wrong thing with this firearm, that I have a bill of sale that I sold it to your ass, and you do something wrong, one, I hope somebody shoots you if you're violating them or their property to defend life, right? Or two, you go to jail. That's it. It's not. It doesn't have to be more complicated. But a private sale should still be a private transaction. I believe in privacy in the Fourth Amendment. So it's a slippery slope. And if you don't want a firearm, you shouldn't have one. You don't want one. Like, I'm not one of those people that say everyone should have. No, they shouldn't. If you don't want one, don't get one.
Just like
Nah,
you
just
don't not everyone wants a car, like, or
some
needs
people
one.
like bikes. Them shits is
Mhm.
amazing, and their calves are great. Cool. That's awesome. You know what I'm saying? So no,
Mhm.
I don't think. I think the more the more the approach that sits a little bit more good with me is like, yo, there's places all across the country, including us at Black Guns Matter, where you can learn about firearms, safety, conflict resolution, de-escalation, so forth and so on, for free. And then you can make the decision based on, getting proper information and right knowledge. You can make a decision if you want to start going into training and picking up a firearm after you take some time to educate yourself on it. I think that is universal and it's basic. And I think that way people can make a more informed decision based on that, as opposed to us pushing to say, yo, everybody should have a gun if they want one. One, everyone can afford one. If you said, for the next 3 months, I'm not gonna go out drinking and I'm not gonna get like Starbucks. You know what I'm saying? If you do that, stop going to the fucking strip club for a month and you'll be fine. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Then you
Mm.
save all kinds of loads. Sorry,
Chrissy,
that was gross.
pause, pause. Chrissy, somebody said, let me read this guy.
Okay.
Aren't you the guy who was glad cops were shot during the Breonna Taylor trial?
Oh, I didn't see that. Oh, this one? I could put that one up.
Yeah. No, I kept the same energy. If I break into somebody's house thinking that I'm robbing the drug dealer and I rob somebody else's house by accident and that homeowner fucking shoots me, I got play dumb games, win stupid prizes. I think the police officers that did that murdered someone, and I don't hold anyone to a different standard at all. If my friend bought a firearm and did something stupid with it, I would say, you did some stupid shit. What are we? There's no, I don't respect a uniform. I don't respect if a fireman, and I have tremendous respect for firemen because they like, first of all, they got to get dressed in like 2 seconds, right?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
I could never do that.
Me either. It's like, bro, I gotta like
I'd be like,
sleep in my clothes.
"Wait." Yeah.
So, no. And people like that I want to just go on a sidebar real quick. Guys like that, right? That say those types of statements, they're usually like bootlickers extraordinaire. Because they have these like, the police are like untouchable and they say all of this shit. And these are the same people that those police will lock you the fuck up if you chose to say, hey, I don't want to wear a mask on an airplane. They will exercise the continuum of force up into death because you just want to say, nah, I just don't want to wear a mask. So those people that make those types of statements generally don't know me or know really what context is and layers, or they don't understand a standard. I keep that same energy across the board. So I just wanted to, let that goofball know that he.
No, that's great. I appreciate it when somebody, addresses like a critical comment or, every once in a while. You
Mhm.
never know if somebody, like, it's good that you don't shy away from it, for
No.
sure. Another question here from Matthew. Do you see a day where we have competitive shooting sports in high schools around the country to demystify guns for the next generation?
Yes. I think, the most meddled uh, Olympian is a woman shooter, Kimberly Road. Amazing shooter, champion. You can go to the Olympics, you can go to college for the shooting sports. And I think we can also utilize that in some of these urban schools where it's like, yo, let's get some of these young kids, let's put them on a shooting range, let's get them practicing, going all over the place. We might have some like Venus and Serena twins for shooting. So absolutely, absolutely like trap, skeet, all of that other type of stuff. Different type of skeet, guys. Get your minds out of the trash. Um, I think that we can show that these things are amazing. And then you can get involved in firearms for investment. You know, a lot of young people are buying and selling NFTs, making a lot of money. The Call of Duty world, people make fun of those kids, man. Like people remember people used to make fun of airsofters. And there's competitive shooters. Like, look, those guys last weekend, a couple of weekends ago, I was training with like Brett Nettleton and Daniel Horner, who's arguably one of the best shooters, like if not the best shooter in the world. And so these guys are competition shooters, and that airsoft, like, because shooting is about speed and accuracy. Competition shooters have it. And those guys are trained as special forces guys. So saying this to say, yes, I think we have to be in the schools and saying, if we're going to be sending them to these schools, yo, this is what we want, you know, or even if we put some of our young people that uh, decide to go and be involved in, you know, the shooting competitively, yo, put them, get them young people in those IDPA and, you know, all those different matches and stuff like that. Then you mess around and it take one young kid like a shooting Tiger Woods from the hood, get a $10 million Nike scholarship or whatever, or sponsorship, and go to the Olympics. Then you'll see it. So yes, I do think that's a viable option. We just got to keep pushing it, and that comes from that, like you said, from demystifying the conversation.
Yeah. And maybe it would like let some potential school shooter let off a little steam so they don't
Right. So
kill
this
off kill their
motherfucker,
whole class.
right,
That's dark. All right.
dark,
Just put your classmates' faces on the cans.
dark humor.
don't don't hurt anybody. From Torgo the White, Hail Maj, just got off the Rakita stream with Andrew Branca of Law of Self Defense. Are you familiar? I think you two would make some cool collabs.
Mm-mm. I'm not familiar. At me on some of his stuff on my Instagram page so I could check him out. My Instagram is at Mr. Maj Toure.
Oh, okay. Because your Twitter is Maj Toure. Have I been saying it wrong the whole time? It's not
No,
Toure,
no, that's
it's
right. So
Toure.
no,
Okay.
yeah, Toure. Yeah, that's right.
Okay.
And the organizations, you got it rolling down the bottom there right now.
Okay.
That's the
Yeah.
correct for the Twitter. And my Instagram is the one that's under my picture on it. But yeah, send me some of that stuff. I'm not familiar with them, but anybody that's teaching about liberty and self-defense and personal defense and like, you know, cool, fun shooting and all of that. Even some guys that are shooting for fun, right? Like everything doesn't have to be tactical. Some people just go to the range to like shoot guns and have a good time and laugh and joke with their friends, have a couple of beers after, you know, all of those types of folk. You know, years ago I worked at Foot Locker. Every Foot Locker doesn't just sell you Jordans. They have different price ranges for, you know, different things that you into. So it's the same thing with the shooting sports.
Okay, cool. Thoughts on the Alex Baldwin shooting debacle?
I had to have a lot of empathy for Alec Baldwin because he's like famously known for being like a super douche. And
I
so
heard that he kind of has in the past pointed guns at people on set and been very douchey.
I think that when you think it's a toy, you're more apt, especially if you don't know any of the um, basic four rules of firearm safety. You think it's a prop gun. When you start training, when you go to the gas station, right? Anything that has any type of trigger, you wind up just like, hey man, let me not point this nozzle at anything I'm not willing to destroy. Let me not put my finger on a trigger at a gas pump until I'm ready to pump the gas. It conditions you. So I can understand exactly why he would do something like that. But when I saw it, I was like, man, this is like a failure on many levels. The armorers, um, for those that may not know, armorers are the people I actually did a whole video on it on my YouTube channel, or the organization's YouTube channel. The armorers are people that are in control of all of the guns on set while they're on set. They clear them, they hand them to people, they do all of that. So there was a colossal failure there. There was a colossal failure because he's so anti-gun and he didn't take the rules, which he didn't know, seriously. Um, he did something stupid. But even outside of that, everybody else was at fault for whoever else was. There were stories that people were, those same firearms, they were shooting them with live rounds just to have fun, like offset.
Holy fuck. Yeah. That's
Because
crazy.
because even with like, yo, how does there shouldn't be any lot when I dry practice, right? Like, okay, so this SIG right here, right? I'm gonna show clear, so the internet will know this is a clear
I'm
gun,
gonna
right?
do solo layout. Okay. Ooh.
This is no magazine, and I've shown that this gun is locked back. It's clear. I visually looked and physically made sure there's no brass in there, right? Then I keep that unlocked, and it sits down. That's the universal sign for there's a clear gun.
Mhm.
This has no fucking bullets in it. Okay, no bullets, clear gun. If I pick up any of these firearms that are around at any given time, this is holstered, but this VP9 is holstered, but it has no mag in it. And if I take it out of that holster, I'm gonna check it. I'm gonna clear it every time. It doesn't. My daughter's gun, no magazine. If I can clear it, there's no rounds in that. Right? This TP9 magazine, boom. So there's a certain level of boringly repetitive safety that is supposed to go on. It wasn't. There's no live rounds around these firearms. If I want to pick up with any one of those in dry practice, I can, right? The magazines that are around, again, are empty. The people that were plinking with live ammo, plinking meaning just shooting at targets for fun, right? Somehow they let live rounds travel back onto the set and get into a firearm. So there was a colossal blunder. Now, the other thing is, Alec Baldwin doesn't know anything about firearms. And I want the guys that are like, yo, the he should have known about, yo, bro, even if he would have checked, it's supposed to be a blank round in there. Meaning, because like on movie sets, they're pretending that they're bad guys and they don't give a fuck about the rules. So they're pointing at each other and, hey, I'm a bad guy, playing the bad guy. I'm gonna shoot
I'm
you.
in character. All right. That's
Right,
got a lot of benefit of the doubt. That's good. It's nice.
right. And so it's like, I'm supposed to shoot you. The reason why they're there is to fucking pretend. Bad guys, if I'm pretending to be the bad guy, I don't give a fuck. I'm gonna point the gun at the person I'm trying to shoot. So this argument of like, no, you're never supposed to, like, yo, then don't watch any fucking John, because you guys were not saying this when John Wick was shooting everybody. You weren't like, Keanu Reeves is a fucking bad dude because he pointed the gun at the bad guys in the movie. So I want to throw that in there because I don't want everybody to, us to understand the scope of and the context of this was a movie set. Alec Baldwin being an extreme douche, allegedly, I never met him, right? That does not mean that there weren't other systems of checks and balances that were supposed to be in position that weren't. Now, does that mean because he's the person that pulled the trigger that I'm absolving him? No. When you put a gun in your hand, you're responsible. But again, even if he would have checked, it's supposed to be a bullet in there because we're shooting a scene where I don't know if that's the scene that they were shooting. They might have just been fucking around on set. So there's layers there. Do I think that he should be charged with like murder one? No. If anything, involuntary manslaughter. And especially because I think the bulk of that should be on the armorers. Because
Mhm.
that is literally the phrase, you had one job.
uh,
You know what I'm saying? And so
mhm.
that person, this is your job. So
Yeah.
yeah, that's my take on it. But I think again, as a community, we got to make sure that we are reaching out to folks in Hollywood. We got guys like Buck Doyle, who his Instagram is follow through Buck. I'm actually taking a course with him in Utah in a few months here. He actually is on set as an armorer and training people. He did something on his most recent Michael B. Jordan movie that's on Amazon Prime. He does stuff with The Rock on set, and he shows people because, like, yo, the shooting got to look real. So, one, it's an opportunity for us to highlight gentlemen like that and gentlewomen like that are doing that work to inform Hollywood a little bit more. And it's an opportunity for us to say, listen, you as an actor don't have to be a pro gun person in your regular life, but hey, we want to make sure that we're showing you these are the basic firearm rules. So as you're moving about, even on set, you can be a little bit more careful. There's a video that I posted with Will Smith when they were filming Bad Boys 3.
I have it
Yep.
right here. Yeah,
Boom.
this is a great video.
Bumping it up.
I'm gonna just play it because
Yeah.
it,
Play
it
that.
it impressed the pants off me first
Mhm.
time I saw it.
Bumping it up a level to some of the cooler, more up to date stuff.
It's not more extravagant than the second one.
Flagging it. That's why he's like, yo, don't flag me. Don't point a gun at anything you're not willing to destroy.
Thank you, Will.
Terrible gun safety.
Bumping it up a level
We'll watch
to
that
some of the
again.
cooler, more up to date stuff.
That's what I'm
It's
saying.
not more
Like,
extravagant than the second one.
So like how this happened so fast. This happened in like 2 seconds.
mhm.
Again, than the second.
Right.
Already
He
he's
sees
seeing it
He's going.
because this
Is-
is now
First of all,
pointed.
he's already flagging his son. Flagging
Whoa!
means-
Oh, this is his son right here. Oh
yeah,
wow.
This is first son Trey.
Oh
He's
wow.
already flagging his son. That muzzle is pointed directly at his son's face. One of the basic rules: do not point a firearm at anything you are not willing to destroy. So Will here is looking like this motherfucker is literally about to fucking flag me after he's flagged this random white dude with his arms crossed, my son, this other white dude in the middle here, and he's about to flag me. And his first reaction is to go, man, please put that motherfucking gun down.
His thumb is right.
Yep.
Who knows?
And
It
he's,
could.
like, and he's saying, Will's like, what Will did was he cleared the gun. He took the magazine out, checked to make sure that there's, look, he's like, what the fuck?
So he
Put this
slapped
down.
it down,
Right.
then takes
Give me
it.
this. No magazine. Rack the slide. Cool. Now you're clear.
Oh, it gives me chills. It's so impressive.
Thank you, Will.
Terrible.
Woo! I mean, it's
I'm
like
telling you.
I feel like every actor who works with guns should be at that level of proficiency, but I don't know. Is that asking too much?
No, because the armorers on set did their job. You know what I'm saying? And again, when he leaves set, that doesn't mean that Will Smith is like going to fucking Tehran Tactical and shooting in Hollywood. We don't know. But what we do know is while he's on set, he's gonna be an example of safe and responsible gun ownership. Simple and plain. And so that's not too much to ask. It should be the standard. But I'm also not a person that's like, we should have a law. No, we shouldn't. You should just, as a human, right? I'm drinking. I'm not going to get extremely hammered and then go drive a vehicle. That's stupid, right? I think that we should challenge ourselves to be more aware of some things that, I'm good at stuff that like I don't even like doing. You know what I'm saying? It's like, yo, I hate this shit, but I got to do it. Like, I'm great at shoveling snow. I fucking hate it. But I'd rather shovel the snow and make sure that the area is clear so it doesn't freeze up, somebody falls, hurts themselves, things like that. That should be a individual self standard. And I think we as adults can make that decision and be that person.
I'm sure you've heard people try to make arguments for, there should never be any real guns on set. I think, was it The Rock? Somebody who came out right after the Alec Baldwin thing said, it might have been The Rock. Like, I'm never going to use a real gun ever again. I'm always going to use a prop gun. I don't care how much the editors have to work to make it look real in post. What are your thoughts on that? Do you think it's...
If that's what he wants to do, I mean, it would be better. I'd ask them to take it a step further. Cool. If you want to really keep that same energy, don't put guns in your fucking movie. Don't. If that's don't be so contradictory.
True.
If you're anti-gun, because a lot of these people come out as anti-gun, but they make millions upon millions of dollars pushing movies that are pretty much gun related. So cool, keep that same energy. Say to yourself, I'm anti-gun. I don't want guns in my house. I don't want, I don't want to make movies with firearms, as well as I'm not going to hire personal bodyguards that walk around with guns protecting me and my children.
Yeah, right. How many of them are going to go for that? Yeah.
If I would respect it, there's a movie, I think it was Hacksaw Ridge, if I'm not mistaken. I forget what the exact movie it was, but this guy was like anti-gun, like, yo, I don't fuck with guns. And he gets like drafted into war. He's like, I'm not taking a gun. And he like didn't go through like all of war without a gun. And I'm like, I respect you. You had a standard and you maintained it. It's like I hear people saying things like, I'm a vegan, and I get it. Everyone has the choice. Freedom dictates that they have the choice to do whatever they choose, and I'm going to respect their choices. Now, when I'm someone that has done a 72-hour course sleeping outside where you have to procure your food and water from outside.
Oh, man.
So all of these cute dietary restrictions that you have, keep that same energy. That's all I'm asking for, is for people to find out where their line is and maintain that line. If you're saying, hey, I don't fuck with guns, then or there should be no guns on the street, or I'm not going to make movies with, no, fuck, just if it's a prop gun, if you're anti-gun, I don't want any guns in my movie. I will support that person. I will watch all of their films. I will download them. I will pay for them lawfully. I will no longer bootleg they shit. Like, I will do all of that because you are maintaining a standard, I think it's very difficult for people to maintain a standard. We are very wishy-washy. So if The Rock says, hey, I don't care how much it costs, if that's what he deems a certain level of, hey, post-production has to like make the gunshots go off and all of that, if that's the step that he wants to make, freedom dictates that. I think it's a bit contradictory, though. I don't know
Right.
if The Rock is a gun owner. You know what I'm saying? Guys, a better example of that would be this guy that blocked me, Bautista.
Why did
He's
he
an
block
actor.
you?
He blocked me because he was talking about AR-15s was this, that, and like so horrible, and weapons of war. I'm like, bro, like all of your fucking movies got like, you're shooting like 100 people. Like, maintain that energy. Stop doing movies with guns in them. There's footage of him shooting AR-15s at the gun range.
Oh,
So
what a hypocrite. Yeah.
it's like, come on, bro. Listen, what I am not is I try to find my own contradictions and root them out. When I say I believe in the Second Amendment, I'm not following any unconstitutional law. When I'm in New York, I do not have a license to carry in New York. I carry a gun. I literally tweeted, "Hey, I'm at Fox News going in to do. I'm in Rupert Murdoch's building. I'm doing Fox News. I have my gun." I tweeted, say it.
Why do you do that? Is that so you can avoid trouble, or you're just like making a point? You're more just like, so let's
I believe in the Second Amendment. If someone was to come in Rupert Murdoch's building and try to attack life, I will defend life. I am going by the construct and the supreme law of this land, the Constitution and the Bill of Rights. The Bill of Rights is a list of things and rights that humans, Americans, have that is not given by government, nor is it taken it away. And it doesn't say the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed unless they go in fucking Rupert Murdoch's building. That's not what it says. And if we're going to maintain that energy, I'm going to live by it. If I get caught in Chicago by a police officer with a gun, I have bail money. I have a bunch of lawyers that I will fight that case all the way up to the Supreme Court, and I will take the chips where they fall. If I get convicted, when I get out of jail, I'm still going to fucking have guns. I'm never going to not. I'm American as fuck in real life. In real life. So that's why I do it. And the added benefit is, on the internet, people are like, yo, I fucking hate you when I see you. My exact location is it's hard to find somebody that got a gun, So, and again, I conflict de-escalate and all of that, but I just want people to be about what they pretend to be on social media. If we aspire to be half of what we say we are on the internet, the world would be a lot cooler, man. You know what I'm saying? Like these girls that were, if they were really as hot as like they like pretend to be, like, oh man, it would be so much cooler outside, you know?
This is why I never post any with filters. Like I really, unless it's a professional headshot that somebody else has kind of edited, like on my Instagram. I mean, I definitely don't have a thirst trappy Instagram, but like I always post just straight up,
Hold on.
no, no
Is,
filters.
is it is it trappy or is it not trappy?
It's not thirst trappy. It's like it's really it's more boring.
What's your gram?
Just Chrissie Mayr pod. But I say that, I mean, yes, partially so you can follow me, but also the point is that so when people meet me in person, they go, "Wow, you look so much better than you do online." I'd rather have that than like, "Holy shit, you tricked me, bitch." You know, like I'd
Chrissy,
rather
do
be
you
like
have
a pleasant
Chrissy,
surprise.
you got a rack, bro.
Iraq? Oh, thanks.
You got
Yes,
like a rack.
I do have a
Is that where you like your thirst trapping is done?
I could definitely do rack thirst trapping. I just, I use my powers for good, not evil. I think every woman should, they're there when I need them. I'm like a
Yeah,
responsible gun owner, but with
right,
double
right.
D's. You
Oh,
talk
they're double D's. Oh,
Well, now I'm blushing. Okay. You talk a lot about conflict de-escalation or conflict resolution as part of your classes and training. How do you even begin to teach that to somebody who grew up in a family environment where all they do is yell at each other, they storm off when there's a conflict, there's no communication, and now you've got full-grown people that you're trying to teach these skills that maybe they missed from their family growing up. I know I missed them growing up, so I'm sure that's like an added challenge.
yeah. Until you show them, like if I show up, some of our classes, I'll have somebody like, "Yo, bro." When it's usually the person is like, "Nah, man." Some of them are already gun owners or they trying to be a gun owner, and they like real gung ho. And I'll be like, "Stand over there for the next 10 minutes, and you can't turn around." That 10 minutes seems like forever, and you can't like your phone, you can't interact. You just like isolated. You can do this with like your teenagers. When you tell them if they getting really rambunctious, tell them, yo, go in the bathroom without your phone for that. You can do anything you want in that bathroom, but you can't have a phone.
Anything.
That too, because even that, you might just fall asleep afterwards, young man.
That's de-stressing, sure. Yeah.
However, do that for an hour. Then when they come out, if they make it the whole hour, you say, yo, you can come out, but try to do it for an hour. If they come out within that hour, then you say, can you do that for 23 hours a day for the rest of your life? 23 and one for wreck or whatever else. You in solitary confinement for a homicide.
Oh shit. Right. I never thought of it like that.
The television shows us. I had this conversation with Leek Moss. He's a hip hop artist from Philly. Good dude. I went to his aggressive dude from North Philly. His brother, AR Ab, is doing 42 years in prison for cocaine, right?
Whoa.
And it's like we were talking about this movie, Scarface, and he was like, yeah, they packaged Scarface in the hood like everybody wanted to be Tony Montana. And he was like, he told me something that I thought was very beautiful. He was like, that dude was the villain in the movie. And I was like, what you mean? And he said he did everything slimy to come up. The guy that put him on, he let him get murdered. He just did everything. He killed his best friend. That dude was slimy. He didn't do what the plug asked him to do. He said he was going to do it, then he didn't do it.
He stole somebody's wife and then ignored her and then
Yep,
like talked
he was
like,
the villain.
yeah,
He was the
disrespectful.
villain. And so now Leak has been, I don't know, Leak probably did like 9 to 10 years on and off throughout his life, right? But my point was, he was sharing how they conditioned us to think that dude was the like, yeah, we want to be like Tony Montana. Never mind the fact that he wasn't even the biggest man he wasn't the apex predator. It was Sosa. The point though is, when you start showing these young people the other side of the game and showing them how they know I got a gun. Everybody, I can't go nowhere and people know that I got a fucking gun on
You're
me.
the gun guy.
I'm a gun dude. It's like, yeah, he got a gun on him. He tweets it, right? The thing is, I'm also the most apologetic, nice, loving, and empathetic and giving person that you'll ever meet. Because if I have to go to my gun and you put me in a position between me getting to my baby girl and anything else, I'm going home. I don't know about you. So I'm going to give you every opportunity to get out of that situation because I don't want to do it to you. I will, and I won't go to jail. Because if I did it to you, it's a slam dunk. Your hand called for that. So when you show these young people, like shootings and you show them the outcomes and not on just like television shit. And when you show them like First 48, where all of the homies that they thought was going to be like ride for them, and they all get in that room and they take the cigarettes when the detective is like, and then he starts singing, and now you in jail for however many years. And in the end, we tie him back to that hour in the bathroom. Can you do this for 23 hours a day? I don't fucking want to. It's like really hot fucking girls outside. It's money outside. Summertime, if you didn't know, is fucking amazing. So, nah, man, we want our people to get money. We want our people to take care of our communities, our families. And when we have if the gun guy is telling you, like, yo, I'm not a gun guy in the sense of like, yeah, fucking guns. It's like, no, I want to have the guns to protect my family and protect our communities and stop the state from overreaching. That's the real gangster shit. So that's part of the reason how you start to re-engineer their thought process.
Like teaching responsibility. Like I think, yeah, like what you're trying to do is like you're focusing more on responsibility rather than like yes, guns are cool, but I feel like problems come when you're using a gun as like a tool of like, this is how I get respect rather than living a life that demands respect. It's like, it's not that it's a band-aid, but it's like,
yeah, guns isn't, gangster isn't cool because you got bodies. Gangster is cool when nobody will try me. They know I'm a man of respect, and I'm gonna respect. It's been people that have stepped on my shoes, and I'll be like, "Oh, I'm so sorry."
brand new shoes,
Jordans, Kanye.
Oh no!
It's like I'll go. Let me stop for a second. I'll give you a perfect example.
Have people died overstepping on brand new Jordans?
Fucking right. Fucking right. You'll say, I'll say. So I have a few pair of Yeezys, right? These Yeezys were very expensive. And I remember one time I wore them shits to like, for some dumbass reason, I was in a nightclub. I don't even like nightclubs, but I had these Yeezys on. And a dude stepped on my shoe. He stepped on my shoe because obviously he's been drinking. It's a fucking nightclub. It's a bunch of people. It's music. That brother's there. I got a gun in the club because I know the bouncer. He don't have a gun. But in that moment, it's like, yo, bro, you chose to wear these expensive ass fucking sneakers into a place where there's gonna be drunk dudes not paying attention to you because there's hot girls in here.
Right. That's why I don't wear white, because I am sloppy and I constantly am spilling. So it's like, why would I wear white out?
So you're sloppy, huh, Chrissy?
Not that well, maybe, who knows? After 4 drinks, all bets are off. But yeah, what you're saying is don't wear the expensive shoe. Just like if you have an expensive car that's really expensive to fix, okay, you've made these choices.
It becomes a question of, let me look at my choices in this scenario. Let me slow down for a second. Did this dude really say, yeah, I'm gonna fucking step on this guy's Yeezys? And maybe he did. 9 times out of 10, he didn't. But even if he did, he couldn't step on your Yeezys if you didn't wear them to a crowded fucking club. That's like, how would I be mad if I wore some like Maury Gator sneakers, like alligator?
New Balances. Oh no, wait. That's like,
No,
I was gonna say that would be the type to wear to a club because you don't care what happens.
Really amazing New Balances, right? They're suede. If you wore them bitches out in the rain, why are you mad at the rain? You did it. We tend to not look at our own choices as if things are happening to us, as opposed to like, yo, I kind of might have put myself in this position a little bit. You know what I mean? And that's the reason why. And again, as me as the gun owner, I have to always be the adult in the room. I have the power of death on my hip in my abdomen because I appendix carry at any given moment. You know, and there's a criminal charge and potential jail time attached to every round that comes out of that firearm. And so, nah, that's just how I play it. I just think that way. I got a cannon on me, and I'm not. No, I got to be more responsible. I have to be.
How many people do you think end up shooting themselves in the dick by accident? 0?
You
I
gotta be
think about that all the time.
What you mean, like in a holster?
Yeah, like if they carry it on their person.
This is an appendix carry holster, right? So let me show you this. This is a Canic TP9, right? The actual firearm, I'm going to show clear for the internet. Magazine's clear. We clear, okay? Lock the slide back, okay? This goes in here. This is the holster. This part goes around my belt, right?
Okay.
And this goes right down. So when I need to get past my garment and get to the firearm, I can. You notice how none of the trigger is actually exposed?
Right.
If you don't pull the trigger backwards, the gun doesn't go bang. So this can be pointing at, my schlong the entire time. And as long as it's in this holster, I cannot pull the trigger at all. At all. Doesn't happen. Can't happen.
Okay.
See? There's the trigger, right? Covered up. So no, if they have a proper holster, 0.
Well, thanks for clearing that up. I've always wondered about that.
Yeah.
Really quick before we go, what are the 4 rules of firearm safety?
Treat every firearm as if it's loaded. Never point at anything you are not willing to destroy. Keep your finger off of the trigger until you're ready to shoot. Know your target and what's beyond it. So if Jason Voorhees is just standing there being Jason-y, and just because I know he's Jason and I don't know what's behind him, I don't just shoot Jason. First of all, I don't shoot Jason until Jason puts life in imminent danger. He's just fucking standing there being Jason. Hey, I heard you got bodies. I respect it. I'm going the other way. If I run and don't fall, I'm good because he walks slow as shit. I'm out. You know what I'm saying? But if Jason starts, know your target and what's beyond it. So never put your finger on the trigger unless you're ready to shoot. In order for you to have what's called a negligent discharge, you have to break at least 2 of the 4 rules. You got to point the gun at something not willing to destroy, and you got to point your finger in the trigger guard, pull the trigger back. You got to break at least 2 of them. Knowing your target and what's beyond it. Jason might be really trying to have a bad day with me. I shoot Jason, but I miss him, and that bullet misses Jason and hits a little girl behind Jason. I go from the hero to a 0. Treat all firearms like they loaded. This is literally everything that Alec Baldwin did the exact 180 of. Treat all firearms like they loaded. I don't care if it looks like a toy. I don't care. Some of these, this look like some space age shit. This is like this. It's got an orange trigger. Like this isn't some shit that I'm like, oh yeah, that looks just like a gun. Or maybe I do, but either way, until I'm absolutely certain, it's like, nah, I'm going to treat all firearms as if they loaded. If I didn't check that firearm and clear it myself, every time, this gun is locked back. If I get up, go get a drink, come back, and I'm checking it again religiously. So those are the rules. Treat every firearm like it's loaded. Don't point a firearm at anything you're not willing to destroy. Keep your finger off the trigger until you're ready to shoot. Know your target and what's beyond it.
Guess what, Maj? I have a gun of my own, even though I don't own it yet, but this is the Chrissie Mayr special.
What is that? That's a 3D?
It's a 2-shooter. I think it's a Derringer. The good people at Tactical Review made this for me. It's in pink and blue. This is like the perfect episode to bring this up. I have to get one so that I can
What's you getting that because that's gonna be your first gun?
You know, it's part of my merch, Maj. I have shirts, I have hot sauce, but and I
Okay.
also am like filming a special this year too. So the gun is just called like the Chrissie Mayr special. But I mean, like this wouldn't be my first gun, but I have to get it in pink at this point. But
Yeah.
this
Yeah,
is
you
pretty badass, isn't it?
yeah. It's the Chrissie Mayr special. It is.
Even your 5-year-old would be like, "No, thanks. That's for kids. That gun is for pussies." But that's fine. That's where I'm at. Pew pew. That's actually the sound the gun makes when you shoot it. Maj, you're the greatest. Thanks for coming on. Other than donating to the GoFundMe for your countrywide 50-state tour,
Yeah.
where else can people find you and follow you and support what you do?
Everybody can just email me, man. If you got something going on, you want some help, you want to talk. If you're going through something, yeah, email me. My email solutionarylifestyle@gmail.com. Solutionary, like revolutionary, solutionarylifestyle@gmail.com. Get some merch, blackgunsmattershop.com. But before all of that, man, seriously, if you're going through something, man, I might make fun of you and joke with you and laugh with you, but just know that I'll like rather talk shit with you than like read your fucking obituary. You know what I mean? There's a lot of suicide happening. Suicide since this government overreach has been happening have been on the rise. So yeah, man, just like you know, email me, chop it up. GoFundMe.com/Black Guns Matter if you want to add to the work. My Instagram is Mr. Maj Toure. Twitter and all that other stuff is down there. And just be kind to people, y'all. Like really, I joke, I laugh. I'm a little more vocal right now, but I'm a spiritual dude, and I believe that if we all just kind of like, I actually want to exist in a world where there is no need for firearms. I think the human condition can get to that point. We are not fucking there right now. But I think we can if we put that empathy and that spirituality, in perspective, and just slow down a bit. Like, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? Respect each other, and all that other good stuff. So email me, you know what I'm saying? I'm gonna try to slide in your DMs, see if they're really double D's, and my night will be complete.
All right, sounds like a plan. Thanks for coming on, Maj. This was a really great talk. It was great to sort of meet you,
For
over the
sure.
internet.
I appreciate you for having me.
Thank you guys in the chat for your great questions and your comments as always. We'll see you next time, guys. Bye.